All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So we just heard from defensive coordinator Steve Wilks addressing some of the problems on the defensive side of the football. And to be honest, it was just a lot of coach speak, a lot of saying, hey, this falls on me. I mean, we could take a look at some of these quotes here, but it was really nothing out of the ordinary, right, that you would typically hear from a coordinator from the struggling side of the football. In regards to the bad tackling, Wilks said that's something I've taken ownership of. It's something we've emphasized and talked about this week. I mean, as Jets fans, we've been waiting on this, collective group of players to be able to tackle for years now. So hopefully that changes this week, but let's move on. On the lack of pass rush, Wilks said, everything is on me. Trying to put these guys in a position to create one-on-ones across the board, I got to do a great job. From 95 Quinnen Williams to 9 Will McDonald, getting those guys in position where they can go execute because they're very talented guys that we know can perform at a high level. And so, yeah, that was actually one of the things that we talked about in yesterday's video, which is shaking things up on the defensive side, or really on the defensive line, right? I think we're seeing a lot of Brady McGregor. I think we're seeing a lot of Tyler Barron. And it's no disrespect to those players, but it's just clear that they're not either ready to play or NFL players at this stage, right? We need more talent at defensive end. There's really no other way around it. I think that's why we're seeing a lot of Michael Clemens. Now, granted, Jermaine Johnson is looking like he's going to be playing this week against Denver. That could be a huge boost. Jermaine looked awesome against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So to add, a former first-round pick, someone who can set the edge, stuff the run at that DN position, I think is going to be very, very nice for Wilks finally, right, to have like an actual threat at the defensive end position. When it's time to put in Clemens, when it's time to put in Brady McGregor, how about we take Quinnen Williams and plug him at D end? Not saying every drive, not saying every single play Quinnen needs to be like our new star defensive end, but just once in a while, right? Maybe like 5 times per game. Just stick him at D end, put him on a one-on-one matchup on the outside, and just watch Quinnen work. He's done this before. This is not some, idea coming completely out of left field with no, reasoning behind it. We know Quinnen does really, really well when he's matched up one-on-one. We've seen him play pretty well exclusively at D end. Let's give it another shot, right? And the luxury here is that the Jets actually have multiple defensive tackles that they can go and plug in on the defensive line. So when you do take Q out, it's not like, all right, well, great, now we have to roll out another undrafted free agent at D tackle. No, Harrison Phillips can hold it down, and Ja'Wan Briggs has been really, really impressive. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Ja'Wan Briggs, right? As a run stuffer, as a pass rusher, only 24 years old, former 7th round pick just a couple of years ago, right? This is his second year in football, and the Jets have a cheap, controllable player here. That is freaking awesome. Right, Briggs is playing Briggs showed out last season. Like he put out some impressive things. I was excited about the trade when we initially got him, but I didn't think he would be this effective. And granted, it is only through 5 weeks. Things can change, but so far, so good. So you can put Harrison and Briggs as the 2 starting D tackles, or if you want maybe more pass rushing juice, you could put in Leonard Taylor or J2 Fele, and then again have Quinnen on the outside, and then either Will McDonald or Jermaine Johnson. I mean, the Jets are 0-5. We have a big game this weekend where the Jets are once again big time underdogs. What they're doing is currently not working. Let's change things up. Now, that's just on the defensive line. The secondary, as we know, has had a ton of issues, right? Gardner's not playing up to the contract. Michael Carter's pretty much unplayable. Tony Adams is pretty much unplayable. Andre Cisco is not what a lot of people thought. Cisco, he hasn't been absolutely horrible, but there's just moments where he's maybe like jogging to the ball carrier. It's just not really, like, in my opinion, based off of 5 games, I would ideally like to move on after the season, assuming he continues to look like this. I hate to be harsh, but just, safety is my favorite position. I hate to see, Joe Douglas neglected the position for a very, very long time. Robert Saleh, Jeff Ulbrich, literally, how many times did you see a report, oh, the Jets don't value the safety? Come on, man. Like, it's 2 of 11. And of course, the logic was, okay, well, if you have your two outside corners constantly dropping back into zone coverage, lots of cover 3, lots of cover 4, we don't necessarily need to dump a ton of money into this rangy, super athletic safety that can make game-changing plays. We just need kind of this placeholder back there. We don't need this all-star, this Pro Bowl level talent. We can kind of just throw anybody back there and just have him make the routine plays, because there's always going to be this kind of umbrella in the back end of the defense where they're not getting beat over the top and everything's in front of them. So every player in the secondary is just reading and reacting, right? Or I should say in the back end of the secondary. But that's not the case this season. And so another point that we made yesterday is I want to see some personnel changes in the secondary as well. First off, Michael Carter's hurt. He's not going to be playing this week. Jarvis Brownlee, boom, he's the starting nickel corner. No questions asked. Tony Adams, he's out. Malachi Moore's in. The Jets are 0-5. We're the only winless team in football. I'm not saying that we're going to just lose from here on out, but I would rather see the young guys play. Tony Adams is not the future at the strong safety position. At this rate, I could see Michael Carter just being a cap casualty or being traded at the deadline for something, because he's one of the highest paid corners. And again, up to this point, he's been unplayable. The coverage, the tackling, it's just not been good. It's been very, very, very hard to watch, right? Really, the coverage over the middle of the field. Again, when you're thin at linebacker, your strong safety in a lot of cover 1, where you're having the strong safety drop down, play the robber position, and your nickel corner is struggling to stick on the slot wide receiver in coverage, you're asking to be torched over the middle of the field. You're asking to be torched over crossers. Those are the 2 changes that I would make this week. Boom, no questions asked. As far as Cisco, Gardner, and Stevens, I'm rolling them out there. If Cisco continues to be just disappointing, at some point I do want to see what we have in Dean Clark, an undrafted free agent. It seems like the Jets are very high on Dean Clark. So it's, we'll see what happens there. Gardner's going to play because of the contract. I mean, the physical traits is just enough to stay on the field. And then Stevens, out of all the corners that we've seen so far from this Jets team, Stevens has performed the best, especially as of late. So yeah, I don't want to necessarily move him to the safety position when he's just starting to get into his groove out there. But I will say this, as far as Azareye'h Thomas is concerned, he's warming up in the bullpen. I don't necessarily want to, end the season with Azareye'h Thomas only playing the whatever it was, 10, 12 snaps against the Bucs. I want to see this guy at some point. So just throwing that out there. If you start seeing some more struggles, I'm not just keeping Thomas on the bench and just letting him rot there. I want to see him play. In regards to Steve Wilks and this Jets defense looking for answers being 0-5, he said, the one thing that I've learned coaching for 30 years is to respect the game. What I mean by respect the game, respect the men and some teams women who put the time and effort in, coaches and players, understanding that each week is its own entity. We got to find a way. We're still chopping wood. He goes on to say, I've seen it, I've been a part of it, and I know it's going to turn. Now, to be fair to Steve Wilks, he's right. He actually has been a part of it. If you think back, 2021 Carolina Panthers, under Matt Rule, the team just wasn't really going anywhere. They were 5-12 to end the season. Very disappointing stuff. 2022 rolls around. They bring Steve Wilks in to get the defense right. The team starts 1-4. They fire Matt Rule. This is a team that did not have a lot of talent. Quarterback question mark. And Steve Wilks got that team, or when he initially took over as interim head coach, 6 wins, 6 losses. Of course, the team finished, because of the poor start, 7-10. But still, 6-6, stepping in as an interim, like he has been a part of a turnaround before. But just because he's seen it doesn't mean it's going to happen again. So and look, we've talked about this a lot, right? Who is to blame with this defense? Is it the players? Is it the coaches? Is it both? I think that's where the answer lies, obviously. As far as the players are concerned, we're seeing the same problems year after year after year with different defensive coaches. That is crazy to me. It's crazy how this Jets team still cannot tackle with new play callers, new coaches, new schemes. Everything is changed. The entire approach in training camp was completely different. All the physical practices, and they still can't tackle. They couldn't tackle under Robert Saleh. They couldn't tackle under Jeff Ulbrich. He has to whip out a football 101 tackling seminar in the middle of a professional season. Still couldn't tackle. Aaron Glenn, Steve Wilks, they come in the building, still can't tackle. Penalties. They have been penalized for years. Takeaways or lack thereof. The Jets are the only team since 1933 to not record a takeaway in 5 weeks of football. I'm not looking at Aaron Glenn and Steve Wilks and saying, what the hell is your problem? Why aren't you guys getting takeaways? Yeah, are they a part of it? Yeah, but they're not the sole reason. Again, this team has had a problem with takeaways for years. Effort has also been in question with this team for years. Right? Jogging to the football, getting out of the way of tackles, trying to do these soft arm tackles, which just drives me crazy. Just this overall woe is me approach, just this poor us, we're not good. We get hit in the mouth early. We can't get up off of the mat. The other team scores a touchdown. Oh well. It's like this. It's such a soft, sorry approach, and I hate it. And again, Saleh, Ulbrich, Wilks, Glenn, 4 defensive coaches. Saleh's doing good things in San Francisco. He was doing good things before the Jets job. Jeff Ulbrich doing really good things in Atlanta. He was pretty good before the Jets job. Aaron Glenn, Steve Wilks, same exact thing. So what is it with this player group, this collective player group, that it's just this overall, again, I hate to use the word soft, but we have to call it like it is on the field. When players are jogging to the football when the play is not over, that is a problem. When players are getting out of the way of tackling, that is a problem. But of course, it's not all on the players, right? You look at some of these defensive calls, they are horrible. You look at kind of this approach to blitzing. I mean, what is going on here? How many times do you see so the Jets run a base 4-3, right? How many times do you see them line up? You get your 4 down linemen, and then maybe 5 seconds before the quarterback snaps the ball, you see a blitzer, right? A defender creeping up to the line of scrimmage, whether that's, it could be a linebacker, coming up to the outside of the defensive line, a linebacker coming up to like the A or B gap. It could be a slot corner. It could be a strong safety dropping down. It could be Andre Sisco, peeling out from the deep position, lining up over on like the weak side. The quarterback looks at that player, sees him coming up as a blitzer, snaps the ball, recognizes, okay, this is a 5-man blitz, and he just gets rid of the football. Aaron Rodgers did it, Tua did it, Baker did it, Dak Prescott did it. I mean, come on. These blitz calls are so obvious. If I can recognize it on TV from miles away, you think Dak Prescott, Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, these guys can recognize it too? I mean, some of this disguise, like there's no disguise for some of these blitzes. I prefer the creativity, and I feel like the ceiling is much, much higher in 3-4, odd man front defenses, because you have so much flexibility with linebacker. You have so much flexibility with dropping guys back into coverage and bringing certain guys up. But if this is the defense that they want to run, right? Glenn ran it a ton back in, or, was a part of it in New Orleans, obviously with the Detroit Lions. Outside of that first year, that was kind of this carryover from Matt Patricia, just because the roster was built for it. But even Steve Wilks, right? You've like all those years with the Carolina Panthers, Ron Rivera, like there's a lot of 4-3. Sean McDermott, right? He's another guy from the Ron Rivera tree. It's 4 down linemen. And of course, there are so many different ways that you can blitz the quarterback through this style of system, right? You can, like for me, I just want to get more creative. I don't want to just say, okay, here's our 4 down linemen, and we're going to take one of the remaining players, we're going to walk him up to the line of scrimmage, and he's just going to run straight. Like one thing I'm looking forward to, right, with Jermaine Johnson coming back, he's going to be the strong side defensive end, sending that strong side linebacker off the edge as well. So you're having a 2-man rush off the strong side, and you can take Will McDonald or whoever you want to put at weak side D end, drop him down into coverage. Right? You could even drop him into the flat if you want, and then roll the secondary over. I think it would be cool to watch some stunts too. Especially you can kind of get creative if you do what we were talking about before, where you play Quinnen Williams at defensive end. You maybe take a Harrison Phillips or Jawan Briggs. Ideally, your biggest, most powerful D tackle, have him crash on the inside and then stunt Quinnen Williams around to rush right through the B gap. I mean, that's it. So Quinnen's going to be naturally in a position where he's always been making plays. Like that's always where he's at. But now he kind of has this running start with, a lot clearer of a path. That's something that the Jets can implement. Another idea is like a weak side corner blitz, right? Ideally in like a play action type of look, right? And obviously the percentages are the percentages. The Jets coaches will have all that stuff. I mean, you're going up against Sean Payton and Bo Nix this week. So if you can get Bo Nix under center, you can get that call, right? Like this is a realistic play that you can potentially have a lot of success with this week. I mean, imagine, okay, so Nix lines up under center. It's a strong side play action. You have Brandon Stevens fly as soon as the ball is snapped. You have him just go right by the wide receiver. He's screaming in the backfield. He's flying in. And then as soon as Bo Nix pops up from the play action, you have Brandon Stevens there just to completely blow up the play. Although with how the Jets have been called this season by the officiating, it would probably be called a roughing the passer. But nevertheless, it's still an idea that the Jets can roll out. Another blitz call that they can pull out, something I really like in a 4-3 defense, is like a double crossing linebacker blitz where you would take Sherwood would line up as your middle linebacker. I guess in this case, Malwaga would be your starting weak side linebacker. You would take Malwaga and you would have him cross and crash the A gap, and then Sherwood right after crossing and hitting the B gap. So, causing a lot of dysfunction early on. The idea is hopefully confusing the center a little bit, and then clearing the path for Sherwood to get to the quarterback. Ideally that would be cool in a nickel defense, like maybe like a 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, and you can just crash the middle of the field early. Of course, this week Bo Nix has mobility, he can escape. But the point is, I just want to get more creative. I want to do a little bit more on the defense side of the football, as opposed to walking one guy up to the line of scrimmage and then the ball snapping, that guy just runs straight. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section about this Jets defense, about Steve Wilks. Where do you stand with it? And as always, go Jets.